let's see. You know what? Let's first actually we'll get into this article first. So this is from Game Ranks. And I'll be honest. I when it comes to EA, um, we've done several videos about this. We've done several videos about EA, and I don't know how much I want to believe that they will admit to any type of wrongdoing or any type. I mean, they have a little bit, but I don't think to the extent that, look, I think a lot of people are just like, well, this is okay. So let's say this: EA has not apologized whatsoever for what has happened to Battlefield 2042. Now, in contrast to Activision, and I think it was either Activision or I think it was just mainly Activision that did this. I don't think it was Sledgehammer. I think it was Activision as a whole, came out and apologized for Call of Duty or Vanguard and how that game that game came out. But we haven't had anything like that for EA. We haven't had anything like that for Battlefield. And a lot of people like myself are just like, why? Like, why in the world? Why is it so hard for EA to just come out and say, hey, you know what? We messed up. It's our bad. You know, we'll do better. It's nothing like that. Like, they don't want to admit fault to it. Now, I know with their investor meeting, they did admit a little bit of fault. They say, hey, you know what? The game didn't do as well as we expected. But acknowledging that they screwed over players. Hey, player, you know, you spent $70, $100, whatever it might be. They didn't acknowledge that players have spent that much money on a really crappy product. So it just comes to know in reading this article, and apparently this executive says that they acknowledge the failure of Battlefield 2042. It just makes me look at it going, but do you really? Like, do you understand why your game failed? Do you understand why players are not wanting to return to the game? Do you understand, like now that the game has been out for several months now and how messed up the game is, do you have an understanding and a realization that you have screwed up so bad that it doesn't matter, at least for me, I could be wrong, but it does not matter exactly what you include in the game. You like the longest time, it's like, oh, we're bringing a scoreboard. We're bringing a scoreboard. Oh, god damn, they're bringing a scoreboard. It's a legacy feature. That is not lighting the fire under anybody that I know of that would want to come back to Battlefield 2042. There's all these different things that a lot of players were wanting Battlefield 2042 to be. They were wanting this game to take different features, great gaming features from the entire Battlefield franchise, I guess, and make those into something really, really good for Battlefield 2042. They wanted to take the best of the franchise and put it into one game. But we didn't get that. Like, and I said in a previous video that, you know, this is so stupid, but we got lied to during the beta, and that's nothing new when it comes to video games. You know, E3s and reveals and all this stuff. They show you the big flashy stuff, then you get the beta, and it's all just a facade. It's all just a mirage of what we would possibly get for a game. But I think the thing that pisses so many people off, including myself, is how much we got lied to during the beta of saying, hey, you know what, it's a couple-month-old thing, and then they launch the game, and it's exactly what we got. It's exactly what we were bitching about in the beta, but they just didn't acknowledge it, and they lied about it. So, going off this investor call, and going off of apparently Game Ranks getting this thing about, you know, an executive is now acknowledging the failure of 2042, it just makes me not understand. It makes me wonder, does EA really understand what's going on? So, what's up, Reactive? What's going on, man? So, all right. So let's get into this. Let's get into this article, and we'll complain about it the entire time. So EA hasn't exactly been forthcoming about the absolute state of Battlefield 2042. During the quarterly earning call early this month, the company failed to provide any information regarding the sale figures for the title, stating that only if it failed to meet expectations. And that's the one thing, too, at least with this, is that it's so funny to know that, look, we even talked about it in another video, is that the petition is up to 200,000. And then there's other gaming articles and stuff like that. Other people are coming out reporting on this 200,000, up to 200,000. I'm assuming it's probably more than that. The people that have signed this petition that we're asking for refunds. We're not going to be getting any refunds whatsoever. But knowing that many people have signed this petition wanting refunds, and I did the math, and I think I talked about it in another video, 200,000 times, $70 per, copy of it per person that's wanting a refund, comes out to about $14 million. Now I imagine a lot more people than the 200,000 have actually bought Battlefield 2042, but I don't think that EA is wanting to come out and saying, yeah, we screwed up. We don't have that. We're actually missing a lot of people that were actually able to get refunds. Like for a little while, Steam was actually allowing people to get refunds for the game. So it's just funny to know that, yes, they have acknowledged some of the failure, but just stating that, hey, you know what? It just didn't meet expectations. No. Tell us what the numbers are, especially when it comes to the amount of numbers of players that are wanting refunds coming from this thing. So anyway, sweeping through the reality of the situation under the rug won't work forever. In the internal town hall meeting call made yesterday on February 15th, EA executives spent over 20 minutes discussing what went wrong with the launch of 2042. They also discussed the future of the title and the Battlefield franchise in general. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, 2042 doesn't have a future. Like, you're telling me with all the different features that this game could possibly had, and it did get launched with it, and people were wanting it. Hey, you know what? There's a bright future. There's a bright future ahead for Battlefield 2042. No, there's not. There is. I'm sorry. I could be wrong. You know what? I might as well say it. It's like a little caveat. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. There is no way in the world you're going to tell me right now that Battlefield 2042 has a future. I don't see it. I really don't see it. And you know what? You didn't buy it reactive? Yeah, I'm the asshole that bought two versions of it. I bought a PC version and I bought a console version. I'm the douchebag that EA swindled to get this. Like, I'm happy for the people that didn't buy the game reactive, and so many other people that didn't buy this game. I'm happy for you. I'm so happy that you did not buy this and get swindled like I did, getting two different versions of the game. It's so stupid. And look, it even says this, the Battlefield franchise in general. Look, even with the news that, Vince Zampella is taking over the Battlefield franchise and they're going to be doing some hero shooter. Look, this honestly, the whole situation just stinks so much of Titanfall, where Titanfall was a great game. Well, hold on, timeout. Titanfall 2 and Battlefield 2042, completely different. Titanfall 2 came out as an amazing game. Battlefield 2042, came out as a piece of crap. But the way that they're treating Battlefield 2042, in my opinion, or the Battlefield franchise in general, I think is going to be exactly mirrored to the way the Titanfall 2 got treated, where Titanfall 2's gameplay, you know what, it's great gameplay, but we're going to make a hero shooter out of it instead. So I feel like that's the way that Vince is going to take it. Exactly, Goblin. I don't think there's not enough in here, to at least for 2042, that players would want to return to the game. Now, the funny thing is you mentioned it too with Battlefront 2. It's crazy to know that at least with 2042, support for Battlefront 2 as well as Battlefield 5, and I think some people have even said Need for Speed, like there was a Need for Speed game. I don't know about that, but that's at least what somebody was saying, is that support for those games were dropped. Battlefront 2 came out as a really crappy game. DICE was able to turn it on its head, do a complete 180, and fix the game. It made it a great experience for players to enjoy. When it comes to Battlefield 5, it had a really, really rough start. The trailer did not help it out at all. But when it came I think it was the Pacific DLC, turned that game around, and it turned out to be a pretty damn good Battlefield game. And that's why people are leaving 2042 if they bought it and are going to Battlefield 5. It's so dumb knowing that EA and DICE had two games that they were doing these live support, dropped it, was making 2042, and it just came out to be such a stinker. So anyway, I'm getting on the rant. So anyway, leading the Battlefield discussion is an EA chief so Laura, I'm just going to call her that, who began highlighting the company's past success. Quote, "It's really important to acknowledge we have that we have misses. This is certainly the case with Battlefield at launch, which failed to meet expectations of players and also clearly missed our own expectations." Yeah, no effing joke. Are you... Like, no kidding it, Matt. Look, this is the thing. Okay, so you were $1 billion company. You're a publisher. You're going to be launching this stuff. Wouldn't you think to make sure that you have the best step forward, you're making the best impression on players and also investors because you're wanting to make money. You would want to make sure that you put the best first step forward, make a great product with great gameplay and keeping people attached to it and keep them wanting to come back for more and more and more and more and more and more. And you didn't do that. You got us this game and the crap that it is. I just don't get it. What's up, Jay? How you doing, man? It's just I'm not understanding where EA and DICE think that this was an okay product to release. Like, that's the thing. With the line that we got with the beta, and them telling us, yes, it's a 3-year-old month, beta, whatnot. I don't understand where they come from with lying to us and saying that it's an older build, and then still releasing the product that we got. And with all the bugs, all the issues, and knowing that they were releasing a bugged game. It just strikes me as just going, yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys were well aware of the entire situation of the way the game was going to come out. And you guys just told, you know what, we'll make a couple $1 million. We won't allow refunds for our crappy game. And you know what, if we push a few players back, not a big deal. I just don't think EA and DICE were expecting so much heat to come their way with the terrible product that they launched. That's what I'm just assuming. So he is trying to be serious with this funny. That's what it is. It's honestly, look, when it comes to EA, they care about money. They care about the bottom line with it. And I get it. They're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. I totally understand that. But they completely have ruined how much money that they could actually make with 2042. Now, again, they could make fixes, bring players back, and then and build up their reputation and build up the player base and stuff like that and make money. However, with the way that the game is right now, with them releasing a product that is buggy, unfinished, just a terrible gaming repetition, game. I can't really think of the word right now, but it's a terrible experience. It's pushed players away. Now, they have a market. They have cosmetics. That's like why they have the specialist system in the game. They have the way to make microtransactions, the cosmetic items in the game, and that's, I think, what they were wanting. But because they pushed so many players away with how bad the game turned out to be, the amount of money that they were going to make on cosmetic items, on the microtransactions, through the market, through the specialist system, it's nowhere near if the game came out in a polished state and was actually a really good game. That's just facts right there. There is no way in the world that they can make up the amount of money they would have made if the game came out good. If the game came out well made, well polished, and delivered on a great game loop, and they had microtransactions and they had cosmetics and the market was up, they're nowhere near going to make as much money if the game was released in a polished state. It's just not. There's no way. And I think that's the reason why EA and DICE, or I guess EA in general, is going to be writing off Battlefield 2042 just like Anthem, because it's not going to be making in the money. It's not going to be bringing in the money that it's supposed to. The surprise mechanics. Yes, let's go back to pride and accomplishment of Battlefront 2. Oh my God, I still remember that. So anyway, so Zara then outlined several key factors of the EA the higher up believe that caused 2042's extremely disappointing launch. The use of Frostbite engine, which was a major issue, having built on the game on the engine for initially over the 18 months of development. Time was needed to update the tech. So okay, they're updating the tech. Okay, all new tech is basically a new engine. They went back the Frostbite version. There was so old they had to go back and update it. So she's saying that one of the issues with 2042 is that they had to keep updating the engine. Some stuff with some basic issues they were running into with the Frostbite engine. Okay, again, that's not. You can say that. Like you can tell me, you can sit there and tell me that, yeah, hey, you know what? One of the few issues that at least here at EA and DICE, or just DICE, some of the issues that we were facing during this time was we were trying to update our Frostbite engine. We were trying to update the engine to make sure that it delivered a very polished graphical experience to players. And one of the issues is that we were running into that. Okay, hey, you know what? That would be great. hey, you know what? It's not a big deal. You're trying to update it. You're trying to get the best digital graphics out there. I got no issue with that. It comes down to gameplay, though. I don't care how the engine is suffering different issues and stuff like that. It could be a really shitty engine, but the gameplay loop is absolute just dog shit. I mean, it's terrible. And again, again, this might be just somebody, blowing smoke, might be just saying something, just to get players say, you know what, these are some of the issues that we were running into and blah, blah, blah. And it could be all complete BS. It really could. The fact is that it took them this long to actually get some of this information out. It's taken them this long to get info about, hey, these are the reasons why that we are suffering different issues with Battlefield 2042. And that's it. It's taken them what? It's February now, so 4 months, close to 4 months to get this information out. It's kind of weird, if you're wanting to build rapport back up with players, you would at least want to be truthful. One, not lie about the beta and how long that game, how long the beta has been actually in development. But two, you would want to be upfront with some of the issues that's coming out with 2042. And they weren't. It took them 4 months, and supposedly this is it. So, anyway, if you just postpone the launch to make but that's the thing, though. Goblin, that was the thing. So many players, including myself and so many other content creators out there, were saying that 2042 needs to be delayed. If the beta comes out, and they're saying, hey, it's a 3, 4, 5 month old beta, don't worry, when the game launches, it's going to come out polished, great, it's going to be good to go. And then we get the game that we got. There were so many people out there saying, hey, you know what, we played this beta, it needs more time in the oven. Take it back, release in the springtime. I imagine 2042 would have been doing so much better if it was released in the springtime compared to, no, what was it, October, November timeframe? I think, yeah, it was November because it got pushed back. It would have done so much better. I think being able to not only update the game, but also to even releasing the season 1, whenever the hell the season 1 is supposed to start. It's supposed to start in March, supposedly. But if they would released it in March, February, or whatnot of this year, the amount of rapport that they would need to repair from the disastrous launch that was launched in November, it would have been very minimal. It would have been very minimal compared to what it is right now. And EA not only is trying to play catch up, but they're also trying to figure out costs, task analysis or whatever it's called, where they're trying to say, okay, how much work are we going to put into it? How much is it going to cost? And then how much are we going to get a return? Are we going to get a return? Are we going to get more return than what we're putting in? And I think EA is really just sitting there going, yeah, we want to make money. So anyway, lastly, what kind of we talk? I could talk about 2042 all day. And just tell you about all the complaints I have about it, but it just comes to this article where it says, EA is, acknowledging some failure. Yeah, no, I don't think so. So, second large issue was the ongoing pandemic. Okay, stopping there. Been working this entire pandemic. For those that know, I'm a firefighter. I get it. My job's completely different from other people's. I totally get it. Understand? Some states are different too. Between Kansas, Missouri, California. I know different states have different lockdown stuff or whatnot. But it does make me wonder, at least when it comes to the pandemic. See people saying, hey, you know what, the game suffered because of the pandemic. How long is that going to last? Like, how long is that going to last as an excuse? I get it. I get it. It is an excuse. I understand. It is something that, yes, is happening. People are having to adjust and stuff like that. But again, if the pandemic is the reason why that your game is suffering and you did not want to take the extra time to fix the game and the issues that were with it, that's on you. That is on you, EA DICE. They're just EA. That is on you. You acknowledge that, at least in this, that there was 2 failures. You had an issue with the engine and you had an issue with the pandemic. I don't think anybody would have had an issue whatsoever if you just pushed the game back and was able to push it just like that. That's just me, man. Yeah, it's just whatever. So anyway, we'll finish this. After the Battlefield beta last summer, players gave mountains of feedback on bugs, issue revealing that 2042's bug ratio got to the historic levels for a DICE game. Following the 2042 launch, DICE rolled out a day 0 and day 1 patch. Yep, those were patches even before the game got released. According to EA, the biggest problem was the surprise release of Halo Infinite multiplayer. Yeah, okay. last thing, and then we'll play a little bit, and then we'll get into another article. Jesus. Okay. So game engine an issue, pandemic's an issue, and then lastly they talk about how the surprise release of Halo Infinite was a big downside for 2042. Look, if you're creating a product and you're afraid of some surprise competition drawing people away from your game, make your game better. Make your game the most amazing gaming experience ever, and then when the competition releases a product, you don't have to worry about what they release because you have some hot game. That's too easy. That's too easy, EA. You just release a game that's well done. And you don't have to worry about Halo releasing a multiplayer that's better than yours. Fix yourself and don't blame other games.